In a small, cozy house on a lonely road lived Mr. and Mrs. White with their son Herbert. One stormy evening, a family friend, Surgeon Major Morris, visited them, bringing with him a mysterious mummified monkey's paw. As they sat by the fire, Morris explained that the paw had a spell put out by an old shaman, a holy man, to show that the fate ruled people's life and those who tried to change its fate would suffer. The paw could grant three wishes to three different men, but all those who had to use it experienced terrible outcome. Despite Morris' warning, Mr. White, intrigued by the monkey's paw, took it from him. After some persuasion by his family, he decided to make his first wish. He wished for $2,000 to pay off his mortgage. Nothing happened immediately, and they all went to bed laughing at those foolishness. Next day, Herbert went to work at the factory, but a tragic accident occurred. Herbert was killed, and the factory compensated Mr. and Mrs. White with $2,000, just as they wished for. The family was devastated by the loss of their beloved son. Sickening with grief, Mrs. White begged her husband to use the second wish to bring back Herbert back to life. Despite his fear, Mr. White reluctantly used for Herbert's return. Later that night, they heard a slow, dragging knock on the door. Mrs. White rushed to open it, convinced it was Herbert. But Mr. White, terrified of the unnatural, used the third wish to undo the second wish. The knocking stopped suddenly. When Mrs. White finally opened the door, there was no one there. This story teaches a powerful lesson about dangers of tampering with fate and unforeseen consequences of wish fulfillment. It underscores the idea that every action, especially those driven by desperate need or greed, can lead to unexpected and often tragic outcomes.